All right. It's 6:12. So we're going to try to get this meeting going. Other than Melanie in the back signing off on some of these sheets, all board members should be in their seats at this point. Okay, so I think what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and start the meeting, and we're going to start off with the flag salute. Craig, would you like to lead us?
Before we do the thing, can we? This weekend was Veterans Day, and I would like to shout out to all us veterans, thank them for their service. Okay, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. We're starting a little late today, and let me tell you that I am so happy to see our attendance today. Thank you all for being here today. I know you may have some other motives for being here, but we're going to try to show you all what public service and what government is all about. So thank you for being here. We're going to do the best we can for you all. So with that, I want to get permission from around the table to make sure that we're going to try our hardest to get out of here by 8:30. So hopefully we can gain everyone's cooperation on that. So with that said, we're going to start off with roll call, agenda item number 1. And Mr. Christensen, would you help?
Leila Aguilar and Cole Ariola-Carr are excused. Cole has submitted his resignation effective 1 December because he is leaving the area. He was hoping to be here for this meeting, but some things came up and he's not able to. So as of 1 December, he has resigned. John Barber. Here. Vic Christensen. Here. John DeMiglio. Here. Greg Goldfarb. Here. Cynthia Gandhi. Here. Wayne Henry is excused. Melanie LeBrecq. Here. Kelly Miller is excused. Ben Norman. Here. Thomas Norman. Here. Ray Regalado.
Here.
Michael Signorelli.
Here.
Adam Stevenson is excused. Angela Sumner.
Here.
Chris Vite. Here. Okay, we have 12 present, so that is quorum.
Thank you. All right, we're going to go to agenda item number 2. And that is the appointment of Abigail, better known as Abby, Norman, as youth rep. So I'd like to kind of get concurrence from the board. Without objection, we would like to welcome you to the board of Northwest San Pedro Neighborhood Council. Abby, would you please stand?
You would approach Mike. All right. I'm going to ask you to take the neighborhood council board member oath. So if you please raise your right hand, and repeat after me. I pledge to represent my neighborhood
I pledge to represent my neighborhood
with dignity, integrity, and pride.
with dignity, integrity, and pride.
I will encourage other points of view,
I will encourage other points of view,
even when they differ from my own.
even when they differ from my own.
I will respect, value, and consider everyone's opinion.
I will respect, value, and consider everyone's opinion.
I will find the good in my neighborhood
I will find the good in my neighborhood
and praise it and promote it.
and praise it and promote it.
To my neighbors and to neighborhoods throughout the city of Los Angeles,
To my neighbors and to neighborhoods throughout the city of Los Angeles,
I pledge to do this to the best of my ability.
I pledge to do this to the best of my ability.
Thank you.
Abby, go ahead and take a seat any place you'd like, and I'm going to present you with your official hand. We'll get your obligation. She would, if you'd like, say a few words. Abby, and congratulations.
Thank you. So I'd like everyone to get to know me a little more because I'm not just Ben Norman's sister. My name is Abigail Norman, and I ran for this year's election of the 2023 to 2024 youth term. I've lived in San Pedro since I was around 8, and ever since then I've been involved with San Pedro community for a long time. I've been a Holy Trinity Parish member. I've been a Girl Scout. I was always involved with something around San Pedro. And when I started high school, I started taking my community even more seriously by joining many different community service programs here. I continued Girl Scouts to achieve my Gold Award. I joined the Grand Vision Foundation and participated in ushering members to the Warner Band. I tutored children in math and reading at Hearts Respond in downtown San Pedro. We're looking for tutors if anyone wants to. I also joined the Rotary Interact Club where I celebrated Christmas with underserved kids and other things, and I've been volunteering so much, and I've logged 380 hours within my community. So I've attended a bunch of meetings in Northwest San Pedro, and I'm really excited to join because I've been an audience member. And since I was elected into this youth seat, I want to provide important insights from my point of view as a young person in Northwest San Pedro. Thank you.
So Abigail will be, and I think you prefer Abby. Abby will be a part of the Youth and Outreach Committee in her capacity with our neighborhood council. So really happy to have you here. So we're going to go ahead, close out agenda item number 2, and move on to agenda item 3, and that is general public comment on non-agenda items. I'm going to ask that anyone coming up that would like to say something that is not on the agenda, but you'd like to make a comment, please fill out a comment card. They're in the back. I have 4 so far, so if we can limit the time to 2 minutes per person, and we will go ahead and start off with Michael Signorelli and Lisa Quealy. Okay.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Michael Signorelli. I'm really speaking on behalf of the pickleball community and Lisa Quealy here at Peck Park. She had an idea of potentially starting a program that would teach pickleball on the Terminal Island, in the Terminal Island prison. And she basically had just questions about how to go about that, if it's at all possible. Really, is she speaking to the right neighborhood council in the way of area was our thing. But I said, you know what, let's bring it up and let's see, let's ask the question and see what answers would come from that question. So basically her question was, is there an opportunity to bring pickleball to the Terminal Island prison?
Just for clarity, we are unable to speak or have conversation about non-agenda items. So what we can do is perhaps we can, later on we'll move this to a committee and let them help formulate maybe a plan or a strategy to help find out the right answer.
Perfect, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, the next person is Diana Nade. She would like to make a comment.
Thank you. Good evening. I'm here talking on behalf of Peck Park Canyon tonight. And first of all, I want to thank Tom Norman and Abby for showing up and helping do the maintenance day that we had in the area that we seriously planned. We got a lot a lot of weeds out of there. We do need to do some more maintenance, so we do have another one scheduled for Saturday, December 2nd, and we'd love to have board members come and help us. It looks like we're going to get funding from the Native Plant Society for some additional plants in that area, but we need to get the weeds out and make space for them as well. Also, I just want to remind people that there's an exercise walk this Wednesday at 9 o'clock in the morning, and on Saturday the 25th, Alan Branch will be leading the nature walk at 9 a.m. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, the next person, Paul Randall.
Good evening. I'll start by saying thank you. You guys donate your time, and I really appreciate it. I'm a resident here in San Pedro. I'm also have a garden in the San Pedro Community Garden. It's a very nice garden, don't get me wrong, it does have its problems. We have very little water pressure up at the top. I'll get to that in a minute. Please bear with me, I'm still recovering from the surgery, so I'm a little shaky. We were given rules from the Garden Council. There's 35 of them. And let me give you some examples of rules that haven't been followed since I've been there. Rule number 27. Possession of dangerous chemicals, harmful substances, and of firearms are prohibited at all times. When I first had my garden, I saw 4 gentlemen walk around with a rifle, and they were trying to shoot cats. Okay, I have not seen it since then, but those gardeners are still there. Rule number 17. To conserve water, you're to use a trigger-operated nozzle. We go there at 6 o'clock on a Sunday morning, no one's there. We should have all the water we need. We have a little trickle. Because everybody down below us has timers. They're not in their gardens, they're still home in bed asleep. And they're timers. They're not using a triggered water, and it's rule number 17. Also, so we all understand, rule number 26, I'd like to read it so we're clear. Alcohol, tobacco, and illegal drugs are prohibited in the garden. Anyone found to be under the influence of alcohol or illegal drugs will forfeit their garden rights. On Friday night, you better be careful because they're having their drinking parties down in the lower garden. They're bringing in cases of beer. We've tried to stop it, but I'm one person. And if that's how they want to run the garden, great, take the rule out. All on that. I want them to have fun. We have a leadership, we have a president, vice president, secretary, and treasurer. Our secretary, who also resides on this board, has had a garden there for over a year. She has never planted anything in the garden. Rule number 9 states, you must plant within 15 days of being assigned your garden. Rule number 11, gardeners must keep their plots and pathways and surrounded areas clean and free of trash. Unless she's growing organic weeds, I don't know. And then this is what I'm looking at leadership. That's the secretary of our garden. She's also here. Anybody that wants a copy of these rules, you can get them from the Los Angeles Community Garden Council. They're the ones that made me sign this when we did our elections. So if we're not going to abide by the rules, let's don't have any rules. Thank you guys for your time. You guys really need to look into that. It could potentially be a problem.
Next, we have Victor Christensen. You'll be speaking as a stakeholder.
Update on Senate Bill 411, which is the Neighborhood Councils can go back to virtual meetings bill that passed, and Council Files 23-1114, which authorizes the neighborhood councils to, that's the Los Angeles council file, what time the city council file, authorizes the neighborhood councils to vote on whether to go back to virtual meetings, and also 23-1113, which is to give Dunn 30 days to come back with a report on resources, on technical resources and things like that on how to do it. Both of those council files passed in City Council unanimously of the people who were in attendance. And I say that because there were 3 absent, so it was 12 ayes, 0 nays, and 3 absent for each of them. So that we can now, this neighborhood council as well as all the rest, some have already done so, can take action and vote on whether to go back to virtual meetings, both for board, committee, in part, entirely, however the board wants to do it. So I would urge this board to take action as soon as possible to get back to virtual. It gets a lot more community involvement, today notwithstanding. But usually there's single digits of stakeholders at these meetings in person, and there's typically 10 to 20 at least when we were virtual in the past. Thanks.
Next, we'll be hearing from Larry Mersman.
Hi. Just wanted to give an update on what's going on. I was here a couple months ago talking about the easement in the 19 homes on Amelia Avenue in King Capital and Westmont, and the Gardens properties. Since then, we have found out that Tim Coster's office that properties do butt up against each other. The easement technically belongs to us, but it is put in there. We can't touch it because it's there to have access to the power lines and such, which Christensen mentioned. They can't get through there if there's a fire or anything like that. We've been going back and forth. So I just got a letter today from the property management company. Basically, they're trying to find out about the easement. We don't care about the easement anymore. We care about the trees and things like that that are dropping. And I know it's nature. I actually talked to an attorney. And yeah, it is nature, but to a point where it's causing damage. There needs to be something done. He recommended that instead of going to a lawyer, to actually file small claims court. And 19 houses filing a small claims court is going to, wake somebody up, we hope. But the thing is, what we're having a problem with is the unkept ivy, and a lot of the foliage that has been planted over there has come across the easement and damaged many of our homes. The fence in my backyard is literally torn down. It's just all over. So, again, with the city, with Department of Water and Power, it's a huge fire hazard. There's rats and raccoons, and we get that. But, we just got a letter from them saying, hey, we want to split the cost. We've been trying to get a hold of them to manage their ivy for years, and they have not done so. So we're thinking about still going to file against them. So just wanted to let everybody know. We thank everybody, Amanda. We really appreciate it, and we just want to keep it going.
Thank you. Our final speaker is Rick Watson.
Hi everyone, thanks. Just a quick public service announcement. Following in the footsteps of our community leaders such as Diana Nays, who works with the Black Park here, and Alan France, who's not here, who's done tremendous work out at White Point Nature Center, we'll be launching a Friends of 22nd Street Park, which is not in Northwest San Pedro, it's in Coastal. But the work that we did in collaboration with CD15 to identify paper streets in San Pedro. We found approximately 24, at least 2 of which are in Northwest, and we're Myler and Cabrillo, north of Peck Park, sort of stop and start down there near Channel Street. Create opportunities for us to do community engagement and build out natural wildlife habitat by having immediately local and adjacent neighbors get together and do things like pick up garbage and pull weeds, as well as consider what easements might be appropriate with the various jurisdictions to do further long-term stormwater mitigation and other such infrastructure improvements. But in any case, this Saturday at 10 a.m., there will be all the people who live within a half mile of 22nd Street Park out at 22nd and Minor. Are invited to come down and strategize what the game plan is going to be for 2024 to get out there every month and engaging with both the paper street on Crescent and the Port Los Angeles property that is actually the open space park land that's there. So thanks all for your time and attention. Let's make let's make San Pedro green.
That is our last public comment, and so we're going to close out this particular agenda item and move on to agenda item number 4, and we're going to get a report from our homelessness liaison.
Good evening, board, stakeholders, students. Let's see, trying to keep up with everything going on. First of all, on the homeless count, I announced last month that the count date is January 24th. They were supposed to go live today to sign up to volunteer. It doesn't appear that's happened yet, so I'm tracking that. But when they do, it's called theycountwillyou.org. And the count will be here at Peck Park, and I have a meeting on Friday to find out more information about volunteer training. If you're interested in being involved with the homeless count, you don't need any experience. You'll have an opportunity to get online training. More to follow on that, and you must be 18 years old to do that. Let's see, I'm just going to hit some of the highlights. Winter shelters opened up on November 1st. And in the service planning area 8, where we're located, there's really only one winter shelter, and that's in Long Beach. They have 35 beds right now. They have applied to squeeze in 40 more. The augmented winter shelter is when it's inclement weather, so heavy rain. They'll open those shelters up. So now they have, hopefully it'll work better than last year, that people experiencing homelessness, if they're out in the rain, they can call 211, not only to get a shelter bed availability, but they'll provide transportation to get them to that facility, and then hopefully maybe do some outreach engagement and use that as an opportunity. The report has a link to the winter shelter if you want more information. Pathway Home, the county program, which is similar to Insight State, addressing RV encampments and other encampments, continues to work pretty well. You can read my report for information on this. In the unincorporated area, Gardena over there, they've had some great success. A week and a half ago, they were able to get 66 RVs moved, and all the people living in those placed in some type of shelter and on their way, hopefully, to a path to housing. In San Pedro, I've mentioned many times that there was an RV encampment up at the top of Westmont, and due to an amazing collaborative effort after many years of calling on people, and this included CD15, LASA, service providers, Harbor Connect, law enforcement, they were able to get most of the people to accept services. They always have to post ahead of time when they're going to be there, so some people scattered away before they got there. And I didn't see Officer Valoni, but maybe he'll be here to report on that. And he said quite a few people up there really just hit hard times, and so they were glad to do outreach there. Let's see, as far as area encampments, the 5 Points, which was cleared out a few months back with Inside Safe, people are back there. The outreach providers are reporting these are not the same people who were there before. Same thing with Lomita McCoy. For the most part, these are people who heard that people got placed in motels, So they came there hoping that can happen for them. Unfortunately, right now there's still not enough motels, but just there's been some talk that people think people are coming back. The report that I'm getting is they're not coming back. These are actually different people. Still a problem. I'm not going to report all that, so that's on here. Interesting, I put some information here about the California Policy Lab, if you're familiar with that, out of UCLA. And I've been following them for a while. They're trying to collect data to try and get ahead of homelessness, see if they can actually predict somebody that's collecting welfare or food stamps and things like that, people that are most likely to fall into this category. And so now they're generating some AI to try and collect the data. So I put a link here for the pilot program. So, anytime we can do prevention, and get ahead of it, that's great. The LA County supervisors, they have a few programs going to try and stop the RVs from continuing to be out on the streets, restricting the leasing, renting of recreational vehicles in LA County. So hopefully that will happen and there'll be enforcement. We can have the laws, but then we need enough people to enforce them. Let's see, supervisors also, I'll let you read on it. They have some information on rent stabilization. I'm trying to keep up with with all the motions and between the city and the county. So next month I'm going to try and devote my whole report to all the most current motions and get ahead of them on there. There's also a master leasing program that's happening. This is referring to housing. And what this is, and this is not in the report. I learned more about it after I did my report. So basically this involves either a service provider or a nonprofit housing provider, and they engage in a long-term lease with the property owner, and they control the leasing. They assume the property management to make it easier for the landlord. They're saying that this is directed towards low-income and moderate-income renters, and it provides stability to both the property owner and the tenant. And the owners get dedicated cash flow, the tenants get affordable housing with additional protections and hopefully services. So I'm going to continue to follow that. Right now, there's about 100 units that are going to be available in the South Bay, most of them being what we call SRO, which stands for single room occupancy. So this isn't really yet for families. There's peer bridge programs. So what they're trying to do is take people who've experienced homelessness, who understand it, and they want to help other people, and they're getting them trained to support navigating processes to help people transition from homelessness into stable housing. So again, I'll follow that. And I have a couple of legislative items here. Measure H, which is the county funding that's helping with pay for a lot of the programs for homelessness. I'm not sure who put it through, if it's the supervisors, but there's going to be something on the next November ballot to actually increase Measure H by from a quarter cent to a half cent. So I will follow that so that when it comes time to be on the ballot, you're well informed. And the last one I wanted to mention is AB 12, which becomes effective in 2024. Right now, existing laws allow the landlord who rents residential property to collect up to 2 months of rent as a security deposit. This is going to change it to reduce it to a security deposit for 1 month's rent to try and make it easier for people to get placed. I'm trying to follow this to understand how that might affect the landlord. So I'll keep an eye on that. And that's as fast as I can talk.
Thank you, Lori. Again, a lot of work you put into this, so I'd like to really thank you for the work that you're doing in keeping us all informed in this really important issue in our community. Thank you for that. So we'll go ahead and take a comment on this agenda item, and we'll start around the table if anyone has a question or comment about the report.
So I have a quick question. With the masses that you're speaking about, what about the smaller population that might occupy, for example, Penn Park? We have a handful of homeless. There's the same young homeless people every day. Is there something on an individual basis, in addition to, hey, 211 is an option for you? Is there something that they can be approached with to potentially make life better?
I appreciate that a lot, Michael. My understanding is there are some outreach teams that are covering down the canyon. Is it in the canyon?
They occupy the canyon, but they love a picnic area for them.
A picnic area for. I'm thinking that our council member might have more information on that. I know when it comes to the homeless count, we're going to have law enforcement and people who are familiar down there. But I'll ask when I go to the SPA 8 care coordination meeting to see if somebody weekly is calling on those people. But are you asking me if there's information you have that you could give to them?
Both.
Okay.
So I can share with them.
Okay.
And the opportunity, because I'm on site, that myself and our staff could be. We want to be a part of the solution. We don't want to be in their way, trying to make their way to the better thing.
I will get you some information, and I truly appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael, for that. Any other questions from around the table? Okay, we're going to go ahead and go into our audience and see if there's any questions from our audience on the report. Any comments? I do not see any hands, so Lori, thank you again for all your work and all your help. So that puts us at the end of agenda item number 4. Moving on to 5. This is we have the opportunity to give our elected governmental representatives an opportunity to speak before the group. I do see our city council member here from the grade 1-5.
Hey, good evening, everyone. Tim McCosker, Councilman of the 1-5. And for the people, you've all heard it a million times. For the people who haven't heard it, I'm talking about these great things here. Why do we call Council District 15 the 1-5? We call it the 1-5 because we are one district, 5 beautiful communities. I represent Watts. I represent the Gateway. I represent Harbor City, Wilmington, and my hometown of San Pedro. Vitally important that we leave no one behind. Remember every community and make sure everything we do endures to the benefit of every community. And one of the great things, and if you don't mind, I'm going to say a couple of things for the benefit of your audience. One of the great things that the city has endeavored to do to make sure no one's left behind is the neighborhood council movement. The neighborhood council movement and these neighborhood councils across the city are designed to connect our community, connect real people to the government. And the neighborhood council, in my opinion, works better when the council member shows up, when the council member has staff representing him or her, and when we can agree or disagree when the council office listens. And the neighborhood council movement is really, really, really important to the credibility of the government of the city of Los Angeles. And I know we have a ways to go downtown, and I'm with you on that. But it really is, I really appreciate it. I came up with your agenda because it's a thick packet of real material, and you're going through a lot, and I appreciate that. But I didn't come really to speak to any of them. I came for a couple of things, but now, preceding this, my announcement is I want to thank Abby, congratulate Abby for signing up, for joining me. I want to thank Ben for all of his work, for continuing this family dynasty of the neighborhood council movement. But I'm here I wanted to come and take a few moments to let you know about some staffing changes around in our office. You're very familiar with Amanda Enriquez. Amanda, can you... field deputy in San Pedro since day one. And my field deputies in each of the beloved communities are me when I'm not around. I'm around here a lot because this is my neighborhood council. I live on the other side of the canyon. But Amanda is moving over to a new position. She's going to do economic development throughout the 1-5. And we have a new field deputy, Drew Leach, who's here. Drew Leach is now field deputy. And I don't want to take away any of Drew's presentation because she's going to give you updates about what the 1-5 is up to. But I do want to respond to Michael. One of our challenges with Inside Safe is that Inside Safe has looked very purposefully to go to larger encampments. And the idea is to use our resources concentrated in a way so that we go to larger encampments. So 5 Points and Levita McCoy in our district, in our local area here, this part of the district, get some more attention, and they're going to get more attention. And that actually puts us in a position where it gives the perception that there's less attention on isolated areas, like Peck Park Canyon. And what we have endeavored to do is make sure that we use the most rapid resources to get folks to go out and talk. And so the best thing to do is to go on to LA Hop and make the report on LA Hop. Make the report on LA Hop. Also, we're reaching out to Amanda. You'll be reaching out to Drew now. And so we'll follow up to make sure that LASA will review that every day and prioritize LA Hops. We have that commitment from our local person. We'll also make sure that happens. And it's really going to be important for us to continue to advocate for more resources in the harbor area. So the more we report, the more we're going to get lots of resources. Okay? And I wish I had a more complete answer than that, but every one of these conversations has to involve talking to folks and giving them the sort of the confidence that we will actually we'll actually be sincere and get them into a place that's clean and safe. And every single evening in our area, in the harbor area, we do have available beds. So there's really a real purpose and there's a real possible conclusion to every one of those conversations. So I just encourage you to do that. I'll also tell you that also in our office, we've added a resource. We have a coordinator for all of our outreach to the homeless community. And that's a gentleman. His name is Kamon Day. And while I'm talking about homelessness, I do want to thank Lori. Lori does such a great job. I really appreciate it. With that, I want to thank you all for the hard work. I do want to introduce Drew Lee. She'll come up and make her presentation, but I expect when I say thank you that the students at Pedro and I are going to give me a big, loud clap. Thank you, and Drew Lee is up.
Hi, I feel like I need a step stool or something. Can you see me over the podium? Okay, great. All right, it's so wonderful to be here. Thank you to all the students for coming to the last available meeting of the semester. So good to see you guys here. So what I want to say is I also would like to commend Councilmember McOscar's commitment to the neighborhood councils. I was on the Coastal San Pedro Neighborhood Council until this past Wednesday when I started my position here, and we definitely see a difference in your participation and your support from the previous administration, so thank you very much. Thank you. All right, going forward, just to touch a little bit upon what Lori said regarding the cleanup of the cul-de-sac of the RVs in Westmont. Very grateful that that operation was a success, and we were able to reduce the amount of RVs in the area from 16 to about 2. There continues to be outreach to the people that are living in those RVs to get their services, and we have a follow-up meeting with the businesses in the area this coming week. On Gaffney, or just off of Gaffney on Capitol, as you're going up Capitol, adjacent to the parking lot of Target, on the ground, like further, like kind of across the street from the natural gas, there is groundwater that is an issue that has been there for a very long time. It's a wet area that unfortunately is posing a problem because it's coming up from the ground. And because it's coming up from the ground, we can't really stop water from coming up. But we are looking at ways to mitigate the situation. We're working with different city departments, and we have a follow-up meeting to discuss it. So I'd like you to know that it is currently being looked at, and we are going to provide an update as soon as we have one. Speaking of Capitol, across the street from there is a natural gas station. And one of the challenges that the natural gas station poses is when truckers go to fill up and they realize they can't pull in with their trailers, they unhitch their trailers in the center median and then pull in, and those trailers cause problems between people needing to leave the parking lot in Target or being able to see. So we have reached out to the Department of Transportation to ask that they put up signs that there's no trailer parking in that area. The signs are ready and they will be installed in the coming weeks. So that is that. I would also like to share with everybody Saturday, December 9th from 4 to 8 p.m. right here at Pet Park. It's going to be our Winter Wonderland extravaganza. We're going to have snow, we're going to have sledding, we're going to have activities and holiday fun for the whole family. As soon as we have a flyer for your distribution, I will send that out. So keep that in mind, save the date, Saturday, December 9th. And if you can't come that day, we will have one in each of the 5 beloved districts. Now, to the final presentation, I've given you all this piece of paper. I've also emailed this to Ray. So hopefully you can share it with everybody. This is the proposed John S. Gibson Truck and Chassis Parking Lot Project. No, it was not endorsed by John S. Gibson. It's just named that because that's the street it's on it. Now, the primary objective of this proposed project is to develop the underutilized property located in the vicinity to the 110 to increase, in their words, the efficiency of goods movement in the Port of Los Angeles by providing storage and staging of trucks and chassis. The proposed project is located at 1599 John S. Gibson Boulevard, just behind the Harbor Police Station. The proposed project would develop the 18.6-acre site with a short-term truck and chassis parking facility and related site improvements. The project site is anticipated to be utilized for short-term parking, as chassis with or without containers are not anticipated to be parked on-site over 24 hours. The proposed project includes paving of the site and stripping of approximately 393 truck and chassis stalls. The proposed project would be implemented in one development phase and would require a port master plan amendment, as that area still belongs to the port, even though it was sold to a private party. The project site is not located on port-owned property. The 45-day review period started on October 26th and ends on December 11th. A virtual scope meeting will be held tomorrow, November 14th at 4 p.m. by Zoom, and the Zoom link is posted here. And it's important to make sure that you know that public comment is open only until December 11th. So if you take a look at the current map, what you'll see is that the only entrance and exit is from John S. Gibson, even though it is adjacent to the 110 freeway, which would force trucks to go on and off the freeway in that area of the channel exit. So keep that in mind. Of the additional 300 or so, 400 trucks that would be going in and out of that area. I'm not going to talk about the problems it's composed. That's not my job, but it's something that you all can discuss with each other and determine what is best for you in terms of reaching out to them during this public comment period. Are there any questions about this project that I can answer? Yes, Melanie?
This project will help the capital issue, because that's a lot of them too are just stopping there to rest or to do whatever to their truck, maybe fix something and sitting in the middle of the street where they park, where it says no parking stopping anytime in front of Target and stuff. And that's been a lot of the complaints, where they'll sit in front of the park and work on their truck.
So one of the things that was brought up, and I'm just going to kind of plant this there, is that with the entrance and exit only being from John S. Gibson, it may cause a lot of extra traffic in the exits from the on-ramps on the 110. And so there is an idea floating, but maybe you guys can float it, that there be an on and off ramp from the 110 directly instead of coming from the below street. But you didn't hear it from me. Any other questions? Yes, Ben.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure I understood correctly. You were saying that those currently, without adding any other off or on ramps, would come off the Harbor Freeway directly onto with the channel?
Yeah, or around from Wilmington. Yes, from Anaheim.
That, like you said, that's going to be a lot of extra traffic. There's enough traffic there as it is.
You have the Zoom link, and public comment is open until December 11th.
Not something that I would like to see.
Public comment is open until December 11th. I highly encourage anyone with their opinions to go ahead and reach out, as well as to join the Zoom link tomorrow. Yeah. Yes, Melanie.
About a couple of the other things you said, I want to thank Amanda for everything she's done for the capital. It's been a nightmare, and I know. And they, one ask that I do have though is there any way we can get the vector guy to come out regularly out there? And because the mosquitoes are bad. They're really bad. And so if there's some way to get him out to do regular sprays there until the water situation is taken care of,
okay,
that would be great. All right, thanks.
Sounds good. Yes, go ahead. I can't see your name.
Sorry. Tom Norman.
Thank you, Tom.
I'm co-chair of the Board's Environmental Sustainability Committee. Thank you for your presentation. Welcome as well. Welcome, and thank you to Amanda for her service. Just wanted to bring to your attention and offer you an invitation. We have a meeting where this topic will be on the agenda. It was on our last agenda, and that meeting date is Tuesday, the 21st at 6:30 in the City Hall building, one floor below in that conference room. So if you or someone from the office would like to be present to help answer questions or participate in the discussion, as co-chair, definitely welcome that input. I know that's very important to members of the committee. So
it's next Tuesday at 6:30?
Next Tuesday.
And then can you just write that down, next Tuesday at 6:30? Yeah. We'll share that information with Sergio.
That would be great.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Yes, Ben.
I thought you were taking questions only on this one project, but since it's expanded, one idea I was thinking of, and I don't know if it's come up yet, on the groundwater issue, is there any way to possibly basically install a pump or something to divert the water to a more useful cause, like irrigation or a collection basin or something like that, to be used elsewhere rather than have it run rampant on the, just out onto the ground? And you've heard the problems that have been happening about that already.
I'll be sure to bring up at the meeting, and then we'll be able to report back to you after we have that meeting with other city departments to figure out how we're going to mitigate that issue. Thank you for the suggestion. All right. Am I allowed to take questions from the audience?
Yeah, are you doing your presentation?
Yeah, I'm through. Oh, but one more thing before I go. I would like all of you to take down my email address. I do not yet have a cell phone. That's happening tomorrow. But in the meantime, feel free to email me. It's Drew, DREW, .leach, LEACH, at lacity.org. Drew.leach at lacity.org. That concludes my presentation. I'm excited to be with you guys. Are there any questions from you? Yeah, go ahead.
So we've had the opportunity to ask the questions from around the table, so we'll now take comment from the audience, and I see a hand up over here.
Yes, sir.
Hi. Actually, I'm an old TV coach from the old Carla Bakery field. They used to have to pump that groundwater, it's more comparison to a call like this and all that. When they closed down, it flooded that. We also, so that's where the target was supposed to, from what I understand, start, but it would continually pump that, so it was not an issue. So you want to talk to them, speaking of, but the more that water goes there, we had a sinkhole there several years ago. They just closed down that street for a while. So
Any other questions? Okay.
All right, thanks very much.
Thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely.
And Amanda, we're going to miss you, but we know you're going to be doing bigger and better things too. So thank you so much for all your help. Okay, so I believe that takes care of our elected representatives here. I don't recognize anyone else. So if we can, we have our representative from LAPD. Sergeant Terrazas, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, sir.
Hey, first of all, can I say thank you so much for the use of LAPD, the community room for our retreat there. It's always great to have that stuff there, and we feel very safe when we're there.
Well, you're welcome. It is a community room, so we with all pleasure, it's your room, so more than happy to facilitate that for you guys.
Thank you so much.
So as far as crime updates, our total violent crime is up, or actually it's down 4.2%. We had 21 incidents compared to last year. In October, we had 8. Of those incidents, we did have a homicide early in the morning in the month. We had 1 rape reported. We had 3 robberies. We had 16 aggravated assaults, and that went up a significant amount for us, 7.2%. We had 16 this October compared to last October. We had 4. So again, we are down. As far as total property, we're up 25%. Theft has been a real issue for us. We had a total of Part 1 crimes. We had 91 incidents compared to 62 last year, which brings us down 18%. Stuff that I want to hit up on and that Officer Maloney wanted me to address is we have been having an uptick in theft by trickery. Does anybody know what that is? It's basically, if it sounds too good to be true over the phone and they ask you for money, don't give them money. Obviously, people are calling identifying themselves as organizations or how to double up your money. Usually the elderly kind of fall for it, as well as undocumented people or Hispanic people usually get involved in these kind of incidents. So again, if it's too good to be true, I would hang up and do your homework before you write a check to somebody and go and write a check. Another thing that we're having issues with is we've been having a lot of reports of narcotic activity by the library off of Gaffey. So we are doing some enforcement out there as well as undercover enforcement. So we are addressing that. I think City 15 talked about 300 Westmont. I just wanted to highlight Maloney's efforts in there as well. He was on top of it. He helped with the cleanup, and we're still staying on top of that, making sure that we do have people going back, but we're making it a little bit tougher for them to establish residency there. We're also working with the businesses in the area, and they're also part of the solution, trying to help us out to not have that get back to where it was. Another thing I want to bring up, because the holidays are coming, be careful with ATMs. We actually took down today at this Bank of America, there was chip readers on all the ATMs, and there was cameras. So there was a device on top that was actually video recording people putting in their PIN number, and there was actually skimmers, chip readers attached to where the ATM goes into the card. So be careful. We yanked those 3 devices off today. So beware, yank on those where that ATM goes, yank on it, and you'll be surprised sometimes it pops off. That's not supposed to happen. That's a I believe somebody using it.
Bank doesn't check it.
I don't know. I believe security made the call, but security was made aware of it through somebody using the ATM. Other than that, we have a couple events that we are part of. CD15 Drew said, Winter Wonderland on the 9th, 48th. And then also we have the San Pedro Parade that's on the 3rd, and that's from 1 to 3, I believe. 1 to 3. So we'll be a part of it as well. Our motorcycle drill team's going to be there. I think we might have some mounted units out there as well, and so we'll be part of it as well. Other than that, that's all I have. Any questions?
Okay, good. Thank you. Any questions from around the table? And Melanie's the first one up.
Just comment. I just want to say how impressed I am with how Maloney was able, with Amanda and CD15, to get the Westmont thing just shut down. I mean, it's gone. I drove up there today. There's nobody there. There's some down at the bottom by the railroad tracks and encampment, pretty big. But that's going to happen because they moved them out of their RV, so now they're going to go somewhere else. And so, but I just want to say thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Anything else?
Okay. Anyone else from around the table? No? Okay, we'll take some questions from the audience. And Diana?
I just want to say thank you also to Officer Maloney. We had a problem on our street with somebody who had been for several years parking cars that were unlicensed. A number of them, there were 15 of them that we took care of. And the problem is not from that. 15 of them just on my block. He only told about it. He talked to them all. But I got the
Any other questions, comments for the sergeant? I see no other hands. Thank you so much for being here. So, unless I'm mistaken, and please raise your hand if you're a representative from any other department or law enforcement or elected official. I don't see any hands, so we're going to close agenda item number 5 down, and we're going to go on to our consent calendar, and we have 5 items on our consent calendar. The minutes from the October 10th meeting, approved the committee membership liaison and other appointments. You've seen that with the agenda that was sent out, all the different committee memberships. Also, approve a letter requesting street sweeping on Gaffney and Pacific. This is from Planning and Land Use. D, approve the resolution requesting that posted parking study include examination of impacts of city strategies of unbundled parking and reduce parking supply. That's from Planning and Land Use. And the last consent calendar item is approve CIS to support the creation of a Jedi zone on Pacific Avenue. That's also Planning and Land Use. If I can get a motion from someone so that we can, I believe that was Thomas.
I'll second.
And Melanie is seconding. Any comments from anyone? Any questions around the table? I see no hands. Any comments, questions from the audience? I see no hands. Can we take a vote?
Hey, John Barbera.
Yes.
Vic Christensen, aye. John DeMigley.
Yes.
Craig Goldfarb. Cynthia Gagnon.
Aye.
Melanie Albright.
Yes.
Abby Norman.
Yes.
Thomas Norman.
Yes.
Ray Regalado.
Yes.
Michael Signorelli.
Yes.
Angela Summers.
Yes.
Chris Fahey.
Yes.
It is unanimous. It is 12.
Okay, thank you. That closes agenda item number 6. Moving on to 7, that's Budget and Finance Committee, and these are the motions associated with that, and we'll have Melanie kind of go over them.
And this is the MER, and this is not out of committee, so it'll need a move in a second. So, I have a move.
Thomas Norman.
A second. Yes.
And second? Chris? Any discussion? Okay, call for the vote. Thomas?
Aye.
John Barbera?
Aye.
Victor?
Aye.
Ray?
Yes.
John Camiglia?
Yes.
Craig?
Yes.
Cynthia? Melanie, yes. Angela? Yes. Chris Follier?
Yes.
And Abby, you're eligible because you are on 18, right? Okay. And then Michael?
Yes.
And I should have mentioned under comments, just for our audience, the MER is the monthly expenditure report. It reflects approval of money that we've already spent in the previous month as opposed to the budget for
Chris. Next is our budget, and we approve the budget monthly, and it's always retro to the last month. We're always a month behind. And so this is the budget for October, through October. So this is out of committee. Any discussion? So call for the vote. Thomas?
Aye.
John Barbera?
Aye. Aye.
Ray?
Yes.
John Camiglia?
Yes.
Craig?
Aye.
Cynthia?
Aye.
Melanie, yes. Angela?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
And Mike?
Yes.
Okay. The next is reimbursement for Ray. He bought office supplies for the retreat. It's $127.21. This is out of committee. Any discussion? Thomas?
Aye.
John Barbera?
Aye.
Vic?
Aye.
Ray?
Accused.
Let's see. John D'Ameglio?
Yes.
Craig?
Aye.
Cynthia?
Aye.
Melanie, yes. Angela?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. The next one is our the next one is the NPG Purpose Grant application criteria. That's going to be on page 27. The application, or not 27. Oh, 28, excuse me. And this is our criteria, and then attached to it is the actual application itself. But we have a routing criteria to Northwest San Pedro Neighborhood Council. So basically, applications are going to be open starting right away, and no later than February 16, 2024 at 11:59 p.m. in the mail, and receive no later than February 29, 2024 at 11:59 p.m. if emailed. And the decisions will be announced at the March 11, 2024 meeting. So, is this okay with everyone? This is out of committee. Any discussion? Okay, call for the vote.
Pardon? Can you repeat what the motion is? Because
what? You couldn't hear?
Repeat it. We couldn't hear what you were saying.
Oh, okay. The applications have to be postmarked no later than February 16, 2024 at 11:59 p.m. if they mail them in. And if they're emailed, then it's February 29, 2024 at 11:59 p.m. email. And then the decision will be made March 11, 2024 at our board meeting. And it's open to all at 501c3s that benefit Northwest area. So call for the vote. Thomas?
Aye.
John Barbera?
Aye.
Victor?
Aye.
Ray?
Yes.
John DeMeglio?
Yes.
Craig?
Aye.
Cynthia? Melanie, yes. Angela? Chris?
Yes.
And Michael?
Yes.
Okay, the next one is a vote to increase the MPG budget for the MPGs from 3,000 to 6,000 for the MPG allotment. It would come out of unallocated funds. This is out of committee. Any discussion?
My question is that going to include the 500?
What do you mean?
Repeat that with the mic.
Repeat that. I didn't hear you.
This is for the grants you're talking about?
The grants, yes.
Some get 500, some get 1,000.
It just depends. We just try and be fair. So right now we only have 3,000 budgeted. So we want to take 3,000 out of unallocated funds and make it 6,000. Okay. So Thomas.
Aye.
John Barbera.
Aye.
Victor.
Aye.
Ray.
Yes.
John DeMeglio.
Yes.
Craig.
Aye.
Cynthia. Aye. Melanie, yes. Angela.
Yes.
Chris.
Yes.
And Michael.
Yes.
Okay, and then the last one is page 24, 25, and 26. So this is for CD15. This is to Impact Park. This is for the Christmas tree lighting that's going to be happening here at the park. It's for us to sponsor $1,000 for that. Any discussion? No? Okay. So call for the vote. Thomas?
Aye.
John Barbera?
Aye.
Vic?
Aye.
Ray?
Yes.
John DeMeglio?
Yes.
Craig?
Aye.
Cynthia?
Aye.
Melanie, yes. Angela?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
And Michael?
Abstain.
Abstain? Okay, and that's it.
Okay, thank you. We're going to go ahead and move to item B under the motions item, and we're going to have planning and land use. And if, with your all permission, I'm going to ask that our representative from planning and land use, Diana B., if she can go ahead and give her report at the same time.
Thank you. I'll start with the motions. And the first motion deals with the update to the city's housing element. I've previously reported to you several times, the state requires local entities to update their housing element every 8 years. And essentially, the state dictates how much housing the city must plan for at all income levels. This particular cycle, the city is required to plan for about 500,000 additional units over the next 8 years, of which nearly 200,000 must be for lower income families or individuals. The city was able to identify the capacity for about 200,000 units under the current zoning. That these were units that met the state's requirements, leaving a shortage of 250,000 units. So they now need to do a rezoning or changes that would accommodate an additional 250,000 units. In order to meet the state's initial deadline, the city developed a draft plan which actually identified capacity for about 1.3 million additional units, way over what was required by the state. They're now in the process of refining this list and will submit a final draft plan that's closer to the required 250,000. To do this, they've identified a number of strategies for increasing density. In addition to setting a number of units and number of lower income units that must be planned for, the state has also set a number of parameters for where they want the housing to be located to affirmatively further fair housing. That's the state's terminology. They want most of the lower income housing placed in what they call high resource areas. basically the more affluent areas that have better schools, good transit, good jobs. So in San Pedro, much of the western portion of San Pedro has been identified as a higher resource area. So therefore, they're looking to increase the density, particularly in that area. It's important to point out that just because the city makes the property more attractive to a developer does not mean that it will actually get built. So they plan for it, but that doesn't mean that will actually occur. What you have before you tonight are some comments on the initial draft that we would like the planners to take into consideration as they develop the final draft plan. Specifically, we ask that they limit the rezoning opportunities to commercial corridors, public lands, and through adaptive reuse, and leave alone the single-family and multifamily residential areas. We point out that the geographic limitations of San Pedro and raise the issue of the lack of jobs and transit, particularly along Western Avenue. And we point out that Pacific Avenue actually could benefit from densification, and also make a point that any rezoning should be accompanied by strong design standards. This is a letter that came out of the committee and should also be filed as a CIS, since there is now a council file. I also have a couple of suggested amendments that might be considered that we didn't think about when we were in the committee. That kind of came up afterwards, because as we're saying, well, you don't want us to touch these areas. Where are the areas where density might be good? And so I have two suggestions. They're on page 33, the bottom of the page. One would be that another area that can accommodate increased density is the former military housing on Houseford Drive North behind Rolling Hills Prep School. The school is located at 1 Rolling Hills Prep Way. And the other one is that the land around 3191 North Gaffey belonging to the Navy might also be an appropriate location for housing. Those two would require someone to make them to propose them as an amendment if you wanted to consider them, because they did not come out of committee. So at that point, I'll stop and take questions and whatever. Melanie.
I would have to be against housing being put at where that on North Gaffey. I don't think it's suitable for animals even to be there. That it's so contaminated, they would really have to do a lot of environmental cleanup in that site with the things buried underneath the ground.
Point of order. Speaking of something that's not on the table yet, that would take an amendment to put that on the table. So.
Point of order, we're getting into a discussion. We don't have anything to discuss here.
Well, it's an addition.
Nobody has moved the amendment.
Nobody's moved that. I said if someone wanted to, they could move it. Let me clarify. We've got a motion before you.
Okay.
Then I said there were a couple things you might want to do as an amendment. What you're addressing was something I said someone could do as an amendment, but nobody has moved that. Okay. Cynthia.
When you first started speaking, you said 500,000 homes have to be identified to be built in the next 8 years, and 200,000 more for the homeless? Is that what you said?
The total is a little over 500,000, of which 200,000 must be suitable for low income.
So I understand that there are possible amendments. I haven't heard anyone motion for the amendments to be made. So right now, if there's anyone that would like to make a motion to adopt these amendments to the original motion,
You just vote on the original motion.
Okay, I'm not seeing any hands go up, so now it's just going to go back to the original motion. So, do you have a question for the original motion? Okay. Well, let me take questions from around the table. I think, Melanie, your question.
It's fine.
You're okay.
There's no amendment. I misunderstood, so.
So you're okay. All right. So, no other questions or items for this amendment? I'm sorry, for this motion? Okay. So, audience, any questions or comments regarding the motion?
Lori.
Glory, I believe is your name, right?
I'm just wondering, I didn't hear anything about
Come to the mic, please.
I'm wondering if there could be anything added to include accessory dwelling units, because those do qualify for arena numbers.
It's very interesting. The original, the 1.3 million, includes accessory dwelling units, and in fact includes in much of Northwest San Pedro 2 accessory dwelling units per lot. However, they made a comment that they now can't count those for the arena number. So I'm not.
I'm told differently.
Yeah. But it doesn't. When we see that there are recommendations, then we'll see what we finally get. But they did consider them.
This is the LA City.
Yes.
Okay, so I dealt with South Bay. Okay, and I'm told, but the arena's the same for the whole state, and we're under the impression that accessory dwelling units count not junior ones attached, but if they're separate. So I'd like to know that.
Yeah, well, they were originally in there, so I'm not sure either. I asked them that question and didn't get an answer that made any sense to me. I think I might also add that the state is preempting the local jurisdictions on a lot of housing issues. And they're becoming very dictatorial about what we can and can't do.
So, any other comments or questions for the motion? I do not see any hands, so let's go ahead with the vote.
This is for the original motion without any amendments. John Bergera.
Yes.
Nick Christensen, aye. John DeMiglio.
No.
Craig Goldfarb.
Abstain.
Cindy Agani.
I also abstain.
Melanie LeBrun.
Yeah.
Ben Norman. Abby Norman.
Aye, yes.
Yes.
Thomas Norman.
Yes.
Ray Regalado.
Yes.
Michael Signorelli.
Yes.
Angela Silva.
Yes.
Chris Feige.
Yes.
Okay, that's 9. So that carried. 9 ayes, 1 nay, 2 abstentions. So just to make it official, that carries.
You ready for the next item? Okay. The next item is is comments on the port's connectivity plan. It's the draft plan that's going to the Board of Harbor Commissioners on December 7th. The comments start off by thanking the port for the development of the plan and acknowledging that it has many good ideas. Give you some highlights of the comments. They talk about a disappointment of the removal of the rail tracks. They're concerned over event traffic. The plan indicates that event days will likely involve heavy traffic and estimates there will be at least 100 event days per year, which is roughly 2 per weekend. Their main plan for handling traffic is to cone off a lane of Harbor Boulevard and run some type of tram in that lane, thus reducing the number of lanes that are available to cars, basically on the weekends. And in addition to that, they propose bulb outs that would further restrict the flow of traffic. They do propose adding a 3rd lane from Swinford to 7th Street, which would impact the bicycle lane and move traffic closer to the children's play area. So we raise concerns about that. The plan does propose a reduced red car type attraction. Our comments point out that it would be useful to build a high-quality system that truly connects the waterfront attractions. The comments applaud the proposed traffic circle at the Via Cabrillo Marina and Shoshone Road and suggest a similar one at the intersection of Harbor and Minor. There is a pedestrian bridge mentioned in conjunction with additional parking structure along the bluffs between 18th and 14th. The comments suggest that a better place for the bridge might be closer to downtown or closer to 6th Street, which might also help improve the flow of traffic because there's so many people crossing there. There's a recommendation for a flashing red light at Gulch Road, Harbor Boulevard to call attention to the stop sign at that intersection. There's a question about the fact that the plan mentions the Maritime Museum and say it should be replaced by another amenity, but it doesn't give any suggestions for what that amenity should be. So that seemed kind of premature. And then finally, it asks who would be responsible for maintaining the proposed sign and landscaping at the Harbor and Swinford Gateway. So that's basically the proposed comments. They need to be submitted like tonight because they're actually past due. Should they be adopted, we'll submit them tonight.
Okay, with that, any questions, comments from around the table? Cynthia, I see your hand.
Okay, so at the first part you talked about a tram. The first part you talked about a tram that was going to go along, I guess, the right side of each road, far right. But then the tram that is going toward the event, they'd have to cross over traffic, so you'd be having traffic blocked a lot on that road. I mean, twice a week? And then y'all would be longer all night long?
Right, and that's why we're raising the concern about it. That's exactly why we raised the concern.
I mean, that's going to hurt a lot of the businesses downtown. I think they would be upset by it too.
So we've raised, the letter raises concern about that, yes.
Thanks.
I want to commend Jason Herring, who actually authored this piece. Anytime you see a piece with nice pictures in it, it's usually Jason's work. Tom?
Well, just applauding.
Oh, okay. Anything else?
Any other questions from around the table? I see no hands. Any questions or comments from the audience? I see no hands, so can we go for the vote?
Okay, for the Port Connectivity Plan item, John Barbera.
Aye.
Vic Christensen, aye. John DeMiglio.
No.
Craig Goldfarb. Aye. That was an aye? Okay. Cynthia Godin.
No.
Melanie Lebrecht.
Aye.
Abby Norman.
Aye.
Got it right. Thomas Norman.
Aye.
Ray Regalan.
Yes.
Michael Sigarlo.
Yes.
Angela Sumner.
Yes.
Chris Feige.
Yes.
Okay, that's 10 ayes, 2 nays. That carries.
The next item, which I don't actually see in the agenda packet, is a letter that is requesting that the developer keep the parking lot at the foot of 6th Street, not charge for it until such time as they actually have completed some of the development. So right now they are charging for parking in that lot, and people that want to go down there and just walk on the promenade are expected to pay. So this is a letter requesting that that be kept free. And I don't know what, since I don't see it in the packet, I don't know what you want to do with it, Ray.
Yeah, I don't see it either.
The committee did, the joint committee did ask the developer to come to the next meeting to the next joint meeting to discuss it, so.
Yeah, and I'm looking to see.
Alan's not here.
Yeah, I'm looking to see if Alan's here to talk about it. Do you think you can explain? I know you briefly.
I mean, that's the explanation of the letter.
I want to kind of make sure that people understand the issue of parking by the museum and the fact that now they're charging for that privilege to park there when since it's been open for public access to kind of take advantage of walking up and down the walk there that has been open. And now they're charging, so that's the issue. Question.
That's basically what the letter requests.
John?
What's the when the project is done, how much other parking is there, and is it going to be paid parking or free parking?
When I missed the first.
When the rest of the
Oh, it's all going to be paid parking, and the lot that the port is doing themselves is also going to be paid parking. We're going to see a huge change in parking in San Pedro.
And there's no free parking in that area at all. You're not going to be.
There won't be much free parking left, I'm afraid. Yeah, so this is just the tip of the iceberg.
Is there a time issue with this where it couldn't wait until the next board meeting?
I don't think there's a time issue. It's not.
Then I move to table because we don't have the letter here to review.
It was on the website, so you did have it.
I second that motion.
It wasn't there?
It's in our minutes. It says,
Doesn't,
right here in our minutes, it talks about it in your minutes. It says,
Well,
presented the draft letter requesting the developers not to charge you for parking.
I'll withdraw my motion.
Cynthia?
Who's doing the charging for parking? Is it the development that's getting
It's the developers that are charging, yes.
So they're the ones that want to make money off of us, not the city then.
Yes.
Did the city intervene and say, you can't do that?
No. No. Once the property is leased to the developer. And in addition to that, Port has said they plan to charge for the parking lot they're going to redo also.
It's like a toll road where they never stop charging you a toll.
Right.
You know, they say they will.
I commented on, man,
I'm sorry.
may I speak?
Yeah.
Yeah, I commented on the parking at this meeting, and it's just to further the monetization of downtown San Pedro. There's San Pedro, the citizens, us, the people here, we're not being included in all the plans. They want to charge for parking. We can't use any of the amenities unless we pay for it. These are all things that we were enjoying for free for years. Okay? And they're wanting to charge us for everything, and we're not included in it. We have very little say. They do what they want. They're restructuring, as Diana and her chamber affiliates have reported at the meeting. They're going to start upping and charging for more spaces in downtown for parking, and they want to up the parking so it's more limited. I think, I don't get any traction because I noticed that a lot of the people on the land use planning committee are from the chamber and are all for this stuff because this is things they want to do. But it's not conducive to people in San Pedro to enjoy the facilities that are really in our area. It's for us so they can charge other people, and they're making money off of it. And if we want to enjoy these things, we have to pay.
Last comment.
Some areas, what they do is like if you have areas that are for residents have like a card they swipe where they can get so many hours free. And that way they target the money for the tourists and the people coming into town, but the residents of the town have a swipe card that they go get, and it gives them like so many hours free parking. That's what they should be doing.
No, I don't think the people coming into town is an issue right now with this lot, what we're talking about. But I think down the road, that is something we're going to want to advocate for.
I don't know if there's any other comments from around the table, but I certainly have a comment because I'm seeing a very unfortunate thing that's starting to occur for our access to the water. It seems like every local parking available to community is now being charged, so that it's making it harder for us to enjoy something that we enjoy as residents of the San Pedro community. And I truly believe that I can understand that there is a need for maybe helping them reimburse or recoup some of their monies as they develop. But it seems to me that at this particular point, there is nothing out there that we can enjoy except being able to walk the water that is something that we live here to enjoy. And now they've monetized it. And it's not just there. I mean, if you go look at all the parking associated with the fish market, that's all paid now. You look at the bathhouse out in that area, they're starting to charge for parking out there too. Every access to the water that we have chosen to be part of, we're now having to pay for it. And we can't even enjoy it just to cruise through, just to take a ride by, just to, walk our dogs. I think it's wrong. It's horribly wrong. And I will ask that not only do we ask the question, but we also somehow figure out a way that we have this conversation and have them, I think someone mentioned, why aren't they talking to us about all these changes that they're making as a community? I think that's wrong. So with that said, I would advocate to send this letter and use harsher language, and I could think of a few choice words to put in that letter, but I'll let that go. So that's my take. I don't know if there's anyone else that wants to say something else, but we do have a person back here who would like to say something. And this is Lori, by the way.
I remember when we were first getting presentations on West Harbor, and I asked Alan Johnson, because we have enjoyed free parking down in Port Sacal and all these places, what their plans were. And he said, it will be charged parking. And I said, and you can't do something for residents. And he looked at me and he goes, honestly, that's not the plan. Everybody will be charged parking. And to my understanding, it's a private entity. This isn't the chamber or a government agency. And this is going to be a profit center for them. And I know we've pushed back at some of the listening sessions. They've had listening sessions, but apparently they're not really listening. But to my knowledge, Alan Johnson made it clear from the beginning that all the parking was going to be charged. And they don't think it'll stop tourists, and apparently they don't seem to care if it's going to affect residents.
If I can just respond, it'd be different if we're paying for some type of enjoyment or service that they're providing. There's nothing there yet. The best you can do is walk down that boardwalk and watch them put the metal up on the metal structures. I don't know about anyone else, but I certainly don't get a big kick out of that.
No.
I get a big kick just walking by the water. So, when there's something there to pay for, okay. But we have nothing there to pay for yet.
I agree.
So
that's what the letter points out.
Anyway, John, you'll be our last comment.
Yeah. Anytime you you make the local people pay, I'm talking like Royal Palms or something like that, they used to have a certain hour where locals could go down there for free, or anybody can actually go down there for free, but not anymore. I just think that doing this, the sports call was always free for everybody to hang out, eat their lunch in the parking lot, or whatever they were doing. It's going to cause the local people not to go there. And so, if you don't get the local people there, I know I don't go to Royal Palms anymore. I'm not going to pay $6 to whatever it is to go down there just for a ride, just to go for a ride. And even though there's nothing there now, there is so much there. The waterfront is vibrant just for anybody to see, and they're taking it away from everybody that wants to see it in a natural way by having to pay for it. That's my comment.
May I make in review of what we're talking about, I think maybe we should send this back to committee with the provisional that we come up with stronger language and we address access for the public. I paid $4, or it was $2 an hour to park at the Marine Museum lately. Royal Palms, they used to never charge at the top. Now they're charging.
And that's just a kids park up there. I mean, everything will be, we need to look at this in total in response. We built, it was the port using funds built that walkway down there. We only have access to a little portion of it. And we don't get to enjoy most of it. But that little portion we park, the whole rest of that parkway, going all the way to Catalina Terminal, we can't enjoy because there's no parking, or if we can find some street parking. So I think maybe we should, my motion would be to send it back to committee and come up with a stronger language and see if we can come up with a stronger proposal.
Also, one other thing is they took away from us, and I know my father used it, older people.
What point of order? We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Well, wait a minute. You already had a motion on the floor. No. You already had a motion because it came out of committee as a motion. So what you'd be looking at would be amending that motion or tabling that motion. It's not a new motion.
I made a motion to table.
Yeah.
That was my motion. So
I second that motion.
Okay. The motion to table. The motion to table has been seconded. Yeah, table it and send it back to committee.
So table it to go back to committee.
Just so that we're clear, or at least you made the motion, Craig and John, you seconded. Okay. So I guess we take any comment on the.
Just to clarify, is this to table and send back to committee?
Yes.
That's what we'll have. So, any comment, discussion? Raise a hand. I see no hands. Please take the vote.
Okay, this is the vote to table and send back to committee.
Right.
John Barker.
Yes.
Vic Christensen, aye. John DeMiglio.
Yes.
Craig Goldfarb.
Aye.
Cynthia Gagne. Melanie LeBrecq.
Aye.
Abby Norman.
Aye.
Thomas Norman.
Aye.
Ray Regalado.
Yes.
Michael Cigarelli.
Yes.
Angela Summer.
Yes.
Chris Feig.
Yes.
Okay, 12 ayes. It is unanimous.
Okay, I'm going to give you just a little bit of the Planning and Land Use Committee report. There's a lot of report in the packet, and there's been a lot of reports each month, but I haven't had a chance to really update you in a while. In addition to the upzoning that we talked about earlier, we are going through a rezoning process. So there are two things happening simultaneously, both regarding zoning in San Pedro. The rezoning process is a result of the fact that the city has totally revamped their zoning code. So we have a brand new zoning code in Los Angeles. In most areas, the new zoning code is being used when a new community plan is written. But because our community plan was actually the last one, or the next to last one approved, and it would be a long time before ours gets rewritten, they've decided to redo our zoning code down. The purpose of the process is basically to come up with the same kind of zoning, just under the new definitions. So, but that's easier said than done, and we're keeping an eye on it, trying to watch what they're doing. But they've also added some new things to the zoning code, which are going to be very helpful. One which really came out of our committee and discussing with them is in terms of downtown San Pedro, they've added what they call a character footage tool to place new construction in that area into historical context, and a conservation district to regulate existing historical properties and provide design standards. So that's something we're going to see that's brand new and really came out of San Pedro. Another thing that they've added is landscaping regulations, which currently don't exist. They will actually have a list of acceptable trees and shrubs, and we've asked them to consult with Alan Franz in the development of that. So that's that's one effort that's ongoing and that we are talking about a lot at our committee. And there's some links in if you want to know more, you can click on the links. The other thing that's on the horizon that came up at this last meeting, and we've talked about before, is the Rancho San Pedro redevelopment and becoming one San Pedro. And this has now moved forward through their EIR process, and the point that they're at is the development and adoption of their specific plan. And a specific plan gets really specific about what the project will look like. It gets down to, what kinds of trees do you plant out? Much more so than you would have in just a normal zoning change. So they, it's about somewhere between 1,300 and 1,500 units that they're proposing. It's quite a few. It's like tripling what's there now. The residents who are there will all be able to stay, but they will have to move out and move back in. So they've acquired an additional property on Harbor Boulevard. So the first residents will actually move into that while their new units are being built, and then they'll move back in. And then as they go on, it'll be easier to have on-site redevelopment. So it's a 21-acre site. It's going to be redeveloped in 3 phases over 15 years. It will be primarily low-income housing, but there will be some market-rate housing. It will primarily be rentals, but there will be some for-sale units in there. They have about 5.3 acres of open space. They've doubled their parking, although it's still minimal. But it's a doubling of what exists now per unit. The parking is going to be subterranean and semi-subterranean. The plan includes closing Beacon Street between 1st and 3rd, and 2nd Street between Harbor and Palos Verdes for a promenade. They've looked at how to better connect to the waterfront, how to better connect to downtown San Pedro. They're anticipating that the hearing on their entitlements, which would be their specific plan, will be in January or February. So we will be developing comments that we'll be bringing back to this board in December. So I just wanted to give you a preview of that. So those are the 2, I think, big things I wanted to report on. And then I commented earlier on the state legislation. There were, I think it was like 54 housing bills. And each one of them basically restricted or further defined, limited what the city could do, or further required what the city had to do in terms of housing. So our ability to impact housing is greatly diminished, which has been one of the things that I think neighborhood councils have invested doing. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dan.
Can I make a comment because she brought up the downtown, what they're going to do to Rancho San Pedro?
Sure.
If you listen to the numbers, it's 21 acres, which means it's basically a third of Ponte Vista, and it's going to be twice as dense as that third. So it's going to be we're talking about a huge project that's going to really increase the density. We've all talked about Harbor and Sampson Way and all the impacts of everything else. This is going to increase those impacts. This is something we need not just to have the committee look at, but as a board really review closely, because this is going to affect us. One of the comments was saying, it's going to be over 15 years or 13 years. And I was sitting there going, it doesn't make a difference because they'll probably try and stuff more things in. Our time to make comments and to make this to the benefit of our community is now. So I would like to encourage everybody on the board to take a real close look at everything that's going on with this, because it's going to impact everything.
I just can't believe with all this building that we still do not have rail. that they still are not continuing the metro down here. They want to build San Pedro, but not give us public transportation.
John?
Yeah, let me make a comment. At this point, right now, the living at Rancho San Pedro is better than Puerto Vista. Right now, the way they're building there is a total bigger project than Rancho San Pedro. And they're not stacked up and making people live like animals like they are at Puerto Vista. It's a disaster. Puerto Vista's a disaster. Rancho San Pedro plans are a disaster. What are we doing? We're packing people in like sardines, and then you figure that they're going to live a good life? It's not feasible. And this board, I don't care how much Diane puts on it, and then she sugarcoats it with other things. And just because this is wrong, but they're going to plant 100 trees, and that's okay, we'll vote on it. What are we voting on? We're voting on people's human lives that are being destroyed in the long run. And it needs to be corrected. And it hasn't been. All this planning has been done over the years in San Pedro, and I've been against all of it. All these big buildings that are coming up and everything with no parking, single family, single bedroom homes and stuff like that. It's not family oriented. I'm all for 100%. I get a building and make it all affordable housing, but then they throw in 10,000 units and 1,000 affordable housing, and they think that they're getting something here. They're not. They're just pulling the wool over everybody's eyes, and everybody on this committee are voting yes on it, and they've been voting yes on it, and we're to the point where it's crazy. It's unfair.
Chris?
Thanks, and not to just echo the sentiments that have been expressed so far, but it does seem that it's been about just a little over 10 years since I moved to San Pedro and talked to the LA waterfront, the construction in Ponte Vista, all the other residential construction downtown, and the overall push, whether it's at a policy level or just in terms of the housing market and the need for additional units, is one of those things that is probably the easiest to get money behind because there's money in building those things. One thing that hasn't changed, and in fact, is in a net sense, has taken a big step backwards, is transportation. And as has been pointed out, and as this board has discussed, I think one of the first things that I attended when I was in this room 8 years ago was Measure M, where the rest of the county, and almost literally the entire rest of the county, got something in terms of light rail or some sort of expanded access. The yellow line goes all the way out to Azusa, of all places, but we can't get anything in the harbor area. And the people from Azusa are not going to be taking the train downtown. They're going to get in their cars. But all that being said, the place that we have to apply pressure is with the elected officials, which would be anybody in the Metro Board, which would be a combination of mayors, city council members, county supervisors. The Metro Board decides these big strokes, and unfortunately, in terms of Measure M, that's been decided years ago and for many decades to come. However, I suppose until the cement dries, you can't say it's a done deal. But none of this that they're proposing, whether you're talking about Fleet Week or West Harbor or thousands of new units or whatever, is going to work if you can't get off of 110 onto Harbor or to Gaffey, which you can, like now, if a ship shows up or there's a concert or, a truck flips over, if anything happens, if somebody looks the wrong way for 2 seconds, the traffic backs up all the way up to 110. And that's, they've got two things. Well, one thing is not moving, another thing is moving full speed ahead, and these neighborhoods are going to be caught in the middle. And we've had review and discussion of potential rail line extension, I think as far south as Harbor College, which would be more than nothing, but only slightly. And so if and when these things come up, or if you have free time to go in person or online or whatever, to Board of Supervisors meetings, to Metro Board meetings, this is where those, the people who decide these things are available to you there. and not very often anywhere else other than maybe passing casually, but we're in a bad place now, and it really can only get worse. I mean, I don't know how much we could dream of improving the situation, but certainly when they're talking about, for the example of one San Pedro or whatever, tripling the units but doubling the parking is a net loss. So it's even the best that they had to offer is a step backwards just based on the arithmetic. So I would encourage everybody to find like-minded people to get further organized, because this is going to be it's a political issue. They put these things in motion, and I think they have a sense of what they want before they even come talk to us. So it's going to have to become a hobby or a part-time job or something in order just to even have the conversations.
Well, as Rob Finer said, when he was on the board, when the board meeting, he said, and they gave that presentation, we weren't included. He said, "Why are you here?"
Yeah. I hear what I'm hearing from people who feel a high level of frustration in some of the steps that are being taken to improve our communities. And it seems that we, as a body that is there to advise, because that's what we do, we advise, we probably aren't doing advising it's just do justice. What I'd like to suggest is that as we move forward in the quest for better transit, as we move forward in our request to be invited to the table to help discuss some of this stuff, that we as a body take the responsibility of not just organizing ourselves, but getting other neighborhood councils to organize with us. Because as an organizing tool, the more people you have to back you up, the louder your voice, and the more they can't say that they didn't hear you. And that's what the important thing is. We need to increase the knowledge. Honestly, it's a lot of work, but it's not something that we can do. We just have to have a plan. And it seemed to me that as Northwest San Pedro, we do very good in planning. We just need to step it up and ask our neighborhood council partners to join us in making these statements that we need better public transportation. We need to be invited to the table before the decision is made. And let me tell you something that I think is probably the most important, is the fact that when our elected officials, or bodies go out and start making decisions that they're looking for public comment about, usually it's 30 to 45 days for public comment. In the neighborhood council system, that's not enough time for us to make a decision and bring it back to the people. I have lobbied with the Caltrans on the Vincent Thomas Bridge project when they're going to release their draft EIR that we need 90 days for public comment. They finally figured out that that's the right thing to do. I would like to suggest that perhaps maybe we start looking to get from 60 to 90-day public comment periods so that we as neighborhood councils have ample time to examine, make a decision, and advocate our position. So these are just ideas. These are things that I'm hearing from around the table, that there's a level of frustration, that things are happening around us, but we're not given the ample amount of time to comment. So why don't we make room for that comment? And that's the time when we start asking a higher number of days for public comment, but we also ask to be invited to the table so that we can help discuss some of these improvements, or, again, quotes, improvements that they're making for us and we're not having the ability to comment. What I'd like to also say is 8 o'clock, we have, it's 8:07, we have still a few more reports to make. So if we can, Diana, look what you caused. and this is good work. You know, this is good trouble, I think is what we've heard from Congress. This is the good trouble that we can get ourselves into. So I like to put that out there, and I'd like to hopefully maybe we come back with some kind of strategy to include our partners in the neighborhood council. So with that, with your permission, I'd like to close this down and move on to the some public safety and then the executive committee, because we got a couple things that we'd like to finish up with that, because we do have other reports that we'd like to get in. So with that, Melanie, please make a quick report on
I got a motion, and you want me to do the report real quick too?
If you can get that out.
Yeah, I can get it out of the way quick too. So this is the CIS. This is for Councilman McCoster's motion. It's attached to the back. It's regarding fire. How does it word it? It's fire status standards analysis, sworn rescue deployment. It's out of committee. It basically they had money allocated and then they pulled it back, and now after COVID they're trying to get it back again so that they can make it so their standards are up to par for covering rescues and fire services for underserved communities, because right now they're like short-staffed, and so there isn't enough fire and emergency people to get to where they need to be. So this is a CIS that's out of committee, so any discussion?
Anyone around the table with questions?
What are we proposing?
It's at the bottom of the summary. It says it's support or non-support. Oh, 43, sorry.
44?
43.
It's at the bottom.
It's at the bottom.
If you want to read it real quick so that we...
It says the Neighborhood Council on November 13, 2023 we voted to submit this committee impact statement to in support or non-support of CF 230332 to update the standards of cover analysis, as well as report back with state and federal funding opportunities that may be available for restoration of the fire stations and services to allow distribution of adequate resources and to meet emergency medical needs and fire services for the underserved communities. And it's out of committee.
So they want to add more?
No, we've gone under. During COVID, they cut a bunch of the budget.
They wanted to bring them back up.
They want to bring them up to par again. To standards, yeah.
Stations that are already there.
What? They're bringing them back up to pre-COVID standards because they decreased all of the stuff during COVID. So, okay. Thomas?
Aye.
John Barbera?
Aye.
Victor?
Aye.
Ray?
Yes.
John DeMeglio?
Yes.
Craig?
Aye.
Cynthia?
Aye.
Melanie, yes. Angela? Chris?
Yes.
Abby?
Yes.
And Mike?
Yes.
Okay, and as far as the report, the first thing is the public safety report. Our meeting is going to be the 30th instead of the regular meeting because it's on Thanksgiving, and obviously we aren't going to have our meeting on Thanksgiving, so it'll be the 30th. The other part of this is I had a meeting with the people that are the real estate agent or the real estate owners of with Ray and other parties that are listed in the report regarding the RVs. And obviously the RVs were all moved and stuff. There was just a lot of stuff going on. You can read the report here of the things that they reported and stuff. And it'll be an ongoing thing to make sure that it doesn't return and there's no more problems. But there was some public safety concerns up there and they were addressed, and just have to think positive and go forward. CPAB, the report is here. You heard what he said. the key is, one of the biggest things that they hit on at CPAB was Kias and Hyundais still, even with the fix, they're, for some reason, there's like a clicker that they can go around and somehow click in mechanically to some of the Kias and stuff. My neighbors had this happen where they're like able to start it without them even being in the car. You know, they drove by and done it, and they're just testing out his Kia. So that's one thing. And then the other key thing, this thievery by trick, the elderly population is being hit heavy with that. And so I, as neighborhood council people, any elderly people that you have in your community, on your street, where you live around you, I just encourage you to kind of check on them and reach out to them and kind of comment to them, make sure that they're safe and they aren't answering these phone calls of people trying to get their credit card number or their checking account number. One lady had happened where they called and said she had won the Publishers Clearinghouse and they needed her account number. And she gave it to them. There's also where they're coming up, oh, your necklace is beautiful, look at your ring, pull it off, grab the necklace, adios. So, just be careful out there. And that's it. The rest of the report is there for you to read.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any comment on public safety? CPAC? Anything? No? Okay, we're moving on to item number 8, and that is the President's meeting with the Fort. Mr. Norman?
Yep, it was quite an exciting meeting. It was virtual, but I believe you and most people were there in person, which would have been room. For the young people that care about the Fort, you might want to listen because there's some really important things discussed. You might not be aware, market share decline, even though the Ford has had more tonnage. There's actually a great concern about differences from 2007 to 2002 they went through. And we had the executive director, Gene Soroka, there talk about the market share loss, which, to give an example of imports, it's gone down from 43% market share, San Pedro, all the U.S., falling to 32%. That's a pretty significant amount of business that's going to other West Coast, Gulf Coast, and even Canada is getting into the business. From an export point of view, we've fallen from 25% to about 20%. So why is it important? A lot of us have jobs. A lot of us are looking to have jobs. We're training to work with the Fort. What can we do as community members was shared, on this. So I think we're short of time. Let's go pick up a little bit more. Just be aware. Understand there'll be a lot of concerted industry efforts, and those of you who want to come to the Port and Environmental Sustainability Committee, come bring your ideas on what we can do to help be more productive. Our unions are very important contributors. The people in the area are important. Some of you have businesses that rely on that. So just wanted folks to know they're not sounding huge alarms. That's an area of opportunity that you may not have been aware of. So there was I don't use time on the other parts of that meeting, but I thought that would be of general interest. And you'll see in the R minutes for our meeting, posted a really nice, colorful brochure that the Fort brought to that meeting. Any questions?
Yeah, John.
They say Maersk is now laying off thousands of people.
Who is?
And it's Maersk, a shipping company.
1,000?
A lot, yeah. And also the other shipping companies are laying off also. And from what I heard on the news, in the next 2 years, there's going to be decline. It's not going to come back for the next 2 years. So that's a big deal. That's a really big deal. So I think, look at the recession it's hitting. I think it's going to hit pretty soon, real bad. And if you go over the bridge, Vincent Thomas Bridge, you go over the Long Beach Bridge, and you see all of those ships anchored out there, the country's not moving. Something's wrong. Now you see more and more ships anchored out. They were anchored out there before COVID, then they moved, and now they're back after COVID because they're all caught up. So there's going to be a lot of problems here in the next couple of years.
Any other comments? No? Audience? Anything? All right. Council, thank you very much. I'm going to go real quick for the executive committee. We had a section of in our retreat to go over some areas that are really important with our covered in our bylaws that sometimes we forget at times. But the one thing that I think is most important is the piece where if you have a report in your motion and the language for agendas, please complete that. Please put in your stuff, your reports, and your motions by Wednesday prior to our Monday meeting, so that we can get them into the right people, so that we start building up our package. We're on occasion we're getting a little late with that, and it puts pressure on Vic, trying to put together our agendas and agenda package and things like that. So please remember, Wednesday is the critical day to turn in all your material for our meetings. So that's all I'll say for item number A. B, we had some kind of takeaways at our retreat meeting. And one of the items that was asked is that perhaps maybe as people are coming into our meetings that we have a greeter to kind of greet them. An emergency here someplace.
Just emergency that's going on.
So one of the things was getting a greeter to help people understand what we're doing here at the neighborhood council. Which means that we should probably need some talking points to make sure that people understand who we're all about if this is the first time being here. The other thing was to actually develop a handout so that we can give people when they were visiting. So I'm looking to see if there is someone who would like to work on that project to come up with a brochure and also help with talking points for our greeters. So I'm taking any volunteer. Yes?
Mic, please.
That's a trifle.
Use the mic, please. Use the mic, please.
Use the mic. Use the mic. I'm sorry.
Okay, so they can't hear me. Is this better now? So youth and outreach is already, that's going to be on our this month's agenda.
Okay, so
because it's a trifold, we were talking, we got rid of the old one and we wanted to update the new one.
And that will include like talking points for our greeters to help people.
Yep.
From that. Okay, great. As an outreach, will take responsibility for that. Follow-up communication with people who visit our table at community events.
Somebody on outreach that gets the list.
That's doing what I think you said that you were going to be doing when you're out, is that when we get people to come and visit our tables at community events, that there'll be a follow-up contact with them. Will I say that that's also a youth and outreach thing that you guys will? Because I think it just falls right into the other stuff. Okay, here's one that it's up for grabs here. When students attend our meetings, like we had, didn't we have like 100 and what do we have, like 20 now? I think we need to report back to the school that everyone left and take away their service hours.
Several extra credits for you.
I'm kidding. Wait, hang on. So what it was suggested that perhaps we, as a neighborhood council, can do a follow-up with your government class or whatever class that you have, and we can talk about the meeting you attended. So we're looking for someone who may want to have that conversation with San Pedro High, all of you. Yeah? With San Pedro High, to maybe talk to the teacher who kind of motivates you to come out and say hello to us.
Are you all coming from one particular class, or who are your teachers? Mr. Brunke.
Okay, so
Ms. Brunke.
So perhaps we can have, an offer that, we'd be happy to kind of talk about what you experienced here as a follow-up so that there's a greater appreciation of what you do. So with that, do we have a volunteer who would like to do that with Okay, Angela? I'm gonna hold you to it.
There was a second teacher too when I introduced myself to about 50 of you. Who's the other teacher? Yeah. Do you know how to spell that?
You have a question, comment? Tedesco?
Pedro, yeah, that's the other one.
Okay.
I can help.
They said Brunky.
Wait, there's two Brunkies.
There's two?
So they both have two.
So are you talking about both of them? Meeting with both of them?
Yeah.
Okay. Both.
Okay,
Mr.
so
Andrews.
Tedesco, was there another teacher?
Yeah, I was in Greg.
Please stop. I'm not sure
That's all good. Yeah. Are you speaking for it?
Okay. Is that San Pedro High School also?
Yeah.
Okay, so all four teachers are from San Pedro High School? Yeah. Okay.
Angela, Abby will help you.
Thank you, Abby and Melanie.
I'll help you.
Okay, I'll reach out to both of you.
You have your hand up. And I think both of you guys had your hand up back there.
Is it around if we could get an extra hour because we stayed and all these guys left?
You know what? We're going to give you extra credit in your hours. We're only talking like about 5 minutes or something.
That's funny.
So with that said, I saw that hand first, and then you. So wait in the back. You with what?
Oh, a third teacher.
Another teacher? Make sure that Angela has that name. You got it?
Mossberg, yeah?
Mossberg. You got it.
Yeah. Do you have it? Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're good? Okay.
Wow.
Any others? Okay, so Angela, you have a partner, or at least someone speaking for a partner that you may have. You may want to have that conversation with. Okay, well, thank you for all your advocacy, John.
Wait, did Abby actually volunteer, or did she vote?
She's got two.
Want me to volunteer too?
I'm not doing it.
Well, look, Melanie says that she'll volunteer.
Yes, I thought both Abby and Melanie.
Melanie.
Tom?
So I just wanted to thank, and if you would, on behalf of our neighborhood council, thank each of your teachers for you coming here. Let them know that we really appreciate their commitment to civic engagement. I'll add the volunteer list saying he doesn't have a driver's license, so I'm sure that's a lot, so you can add income too. But thank you all for being here and staying, and you really, we can count the extra hour. We're just going to read this material, right? So read the handouts.
John, you had your hand up.
Just a suggestion. The guy in the hoodie back here. Maybe we can get some of these students to volunteer as greeters and give them extra credit. There you go. There you go. You're volunteering.
So I mean that's a great idea. Perhaps that's something you can talk to them, Angela, Melanie, Abby, and everyone else that wants to do this. I think that's a great idea.
Well, if Youth and Outreach is sort of going to be taking the lead on the Creator Project, then attending a Youth and Outreach meeting as a potential volunteer, you could be a non-board committee member. It would be an opportunity, at least at one meeting, for you to learn, like for us to give you the whole, boilerplate about what the neighborhood council is. So if you were interested in doing that, you can find our calendar and agenda at NWSPNC.org.
Okay.
One more quick thing. For those of you looking for hours, I've signed for people with different groups before. For this group as a committee chair, anybody looking for hours, my email, tnorman, TNORMAN, at CSU for Cal State University.edu. Email me, and we have lots of committees. And if you attend, you could actually become a member of the committee. You can get 2 hours, 3 hours a month for actually doing something you care about. So if you're interested in the environment, you're interested in planting, pulling weeds, or doing things, that's one of the committees I'm in charge of. If you're interested in public, I don't want to speak for that committee, but you could at least attend as a member of the public safety, right? If you're interested in economic development, you could attend those. So if you want a different way, where it's a smaller group, you can actually maybe participate a little bit more. I'm very happy to mentor anybody who wants to reach out to try to get some of those hours, and the meetings are often not as long.
youth on California.
So anyway, with that, yes, sir.
I'm sorry, sir. May you please repeat your email? T like Thomas, N-O-R, M like Mary, A-N, T Norman at C-S-U, D like dog, H dot E-D-U.
Thank you, sir.
Thomas, you can send me what.
So, and one last piece of a need from our takeaways is develop a forum of inquiries and interests. I think this is something that you're already kind of looking at for persons who are regarding what civic engagement might look like. So maybe in your thought you could kind of do something like that also. Okay, great. All right, so that concludes the committee report for executive committee, budget and finance. Can you say it in 3 words?
Basic. And then there's the budget advocate report is in here on page.
You got 1 minute.
I'm searching. I know it's in here. It's in the packet. Our region is still without a second budget advocate. I am the only one. Or I mean third, excuse me. We have 2. Sorry. A third one. We're short one. I know we have asked that it be, we try and outreach to the other neighborhood councils, but not have them all the same here, because we have Coastal and me in Northwest to get somebody from Harbor Gateway or Harbor City. And I've tried. Do you have any ideas at being Mr. Bomb Commissioner?
I can hook you up with Wilmington, Harbor City.
I do Gateway.
You already do Gateway? So I think you got it. If we can just include Wilmington up there and see if that's something.
That'd be great if you want somebody that can get somebody to do it. They haven't even appointed any of their budget reps yet.
Well, that's a good conversation.
Maybe I need to go to their meeting.
Yes. Okay, anything else?
And that's it.
Okay. Youth and outreach, any report? Then
I was absent.
All we have is we voted Abby in, and Ben will stay on the youth and outreach. I believe Mr. Norman is going to leave us. But and Abby's it. I mean, there's no more. He has no more kids, so I think that's it. Looks like Norman's left.
We're starting a dynasty here.
Then we just discussion a few things where it's in the report, and we're going to continue on with the stuff, with the new stuff we have tonight.
Okay, Angela, your hand.
We need to make our call for articles for the newsletter. Was that something we were going to do?
Well, we'll do it now. So we are going to be publishing another
newsletter.
Another edition of the Advocate newsletter, and so this would be a formal call for articles. Let's say 250 words. Let's say 150 to 250 words, and we would welcome submissions from committee members and/or board members. As well as any other, if you have a suggestion for a topic that you can't necessarily speak to yourself, but something that might be pertinent, relevant to the upcoming newsletter. And we're trying to make a editorial distinction between larger topics that have kind of a longer lasting impact, let's say an article on homelessness, as opposed to more incidental or topical things that would be going into social media. So we're trying to direct some bigger stories to the newsletter and trying to be more current and timely with smaller or maybe even event-based things that go into social media.
Yeah, we want to do the updates on what's happening now.
If you're getting ready to do the newsletter, you're going to start preparing it. You guys need to get a hold of our printer and get an appraisal. get an appraisal from him to make sure that the price is still the same.
Yeah.
And we need to get a hold of reprinting too to see if the printing prices have changed.
Right.
Skyrocketed, we just did ours.
Okay.
One more comment.
Drew?
On this volunteer thing. I was thinking if we can have a list of different positions of volunteering and how much credit each kid to get for that particular event or whatever it is, or a greeter or whatever, and it needs to be passed around. We could use the same person as long as they get credit. To me, when I was in school, extra credit was everything. So if you don't entice them some way and think they're going to get, you need to give them some extra credit for all that stuff.
Well, the initial ask is for us around the table to help with some of the responsibilities of the neighborhood council, because a lot of the work is falling on the shoulders of just a handful. So we need more people to be involved in this stuff, and that's where the ask is. I appreciate, trying to get, some of the young people involved, and I think that's a next step. We have to be helpful to ourselves too, because it's a lot of work. Youth and Outreach has a whole bunch of stuff that they're volunteering for, so it would be nice if we had someone, on top of that, so that from our board that can do the greeting, and if we can then have a plan that we can incorporate some of our young people in our community to give them that extra credit and all that stuff, that would be great too. But the first ask is for us around the table to take some of the responsibility on some of these things. And that's the big thing. Thomas?
Making a question. I just want all the people in the audience to know, is it correct that they could participate in Candy Cane Lane, sponsored by the Neighborhood Council, on December 1st around 5 or 6 p.m. and volunteers, that'd be a way to maybe get some hours to help or find a committee to join. And as you heard earlier, that winter extravaganza, I believe, is on December 9th. And we definitely want all of you to come and participate in that. And maybe you could answer questions about what other days and other activities, because December's almost already here. And I want the people down to see how fun Neighborhood Council can be. So perhaps one of the chairs can talk about the dates.
The Candy Cane Lane will have a booth there and everything, but what's really nice is we'll set up at 4 o'clock. From 4 to 5 is the setup. And you guys know we're familiar with where Pollyann Bakery is. We're going to be about right there. And across the way will be the gift shop from the Assistance League. So you guys can come help us set up the tent, the tables, everything, get everything organized. And basically, what's really good with you guys, if you're in our area, you guys can walk around, talk to people, let them know, maybe pass out whatever we have. And the same thing with the Christmas tree lighting on December 9th. We're going to have a booth there, but it'd be great you guys walking around, talking. We're going to give some gifts. We'll have stuff for the kids, and we'll have candy canes and some other, we'll have like ornaments that they can put together. We're going to give at Candy Cane Lane, and there'll be some leftovers that we can use for the Christmas tree lighting. So stop by our booth if you want to do something to help, and we'll assign you to a couple of things.
And that's at Peck Park right here on the 9th. And we got a lot of popcorn to give away, so there'll be some free food too if you come.
Yeah.
All right. It's 8:36. We're trying very hard to get out of here at 8:30, so we blew that. But I'm going to ask, we have a couple other items on our agenda. Do any of you have anything else you want to say before we call it a night?
I have 2 items I'd like to go quickly.
Yeah.
So for the Port Environmental Sustainability, there's 2 very important developments Port has notified the public about. One is about the Berth 190-194 EcoSim. They want to put in a low-carbon cement processing facility.
This facility will cause air pollution, even though it's in Wilmington. There is anticipated to be air quality greenhouse gas concerns. So if you're interested in that or know people, please come to our next meeting. We also will be discussing a draft environmental impact report for the John S. Gibson Truck and Chassis parking lot, which has been referenced tonight. So we got two big projects. We definitely want young people, public, in general, to come tell us what you think, because we probably will be working on community impact statements on those two projects, and they will be timely, so we need to get that done next week, Tuesday, 6:30. Thank you.
Okay, last call. No? Oh, you have your hand up over there? You have something to say? Okay, just checking. All right, without objection, the meeting is adjourned.